Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out. Your hosts, Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, Train Life.
Ahoy!
Ahoy!
There we go. It's recording now.
It's working. It's fine.
The button has been pushed. Look at that.
Oh,
Take a table.
Look, things are going fine. We're all on. It's fine. It's all good. We're all good. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Aaron, what's new?
Oh, not a whole lot. This is probably the first free weekend I've had in a long time to actually do anything and conversate.
What was that word?
Conversate.
No, I don't know that one.
All the kids are using it. Don't worry. What are you doing? Come on. Functional actions at the same time. No, baseball season's getting started. I spent a good chunk of it yesterday getting schedules made, practice schedules made, workouts made. Thankfully, it's been cold, so I haven't had to spend too much time working on the field. And that's been practically my whole life ever since softball ended. But yeah, that's what we got going on.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, we are recording in person, too, so that's exciting, I think.
Yes.
It's at an awkward table with too many mics,
Last
mics.
Not enough microphones, Collin. That's how math works, okay?
The childhood table that we grew up eating Thanksgiving on.
Mm-hmm.
And
that is true.
Folding out table. So it's got some history, got some miles on it.
I mean, card tables from the 70s are just where it's at, really. I feel like they're underappreciated format. Okay? Just need to show more love to 70s card tables, right? That's the vibe here.
Whenever I go somewhere and they're like, "Hey, go get the kids table," I automatically think of a light brown
square
folding table from the 1970s.
Are they still making you sit at the kids table? That's a little rude. I feel like
I'm just saying, just in general, it's like, oh man, is there a kids table somewhere? Like, this is my first thought. We could be at a fancy dinner. We could be at a banquet of something, and it's like, oh, the kids table's over there, and I'm like, is it brown and is it square?
Kids tables must be square at all times, otherwise.
It's true. With a weird top on it.
It's like faux leather, like it's a soft top, but man, this is great Foley work for people can.
It's true.
It's really loud. No, you can pick it up through this.
I'm holding this so that I can. I am the boom right now. That's how it's working.
I am the boom.
That's
right. Oh man. Well, yeah. I mean, it's been a lot. Snow's coming, so we're gonna get some fun weather.
Allegedly. This is Missouri, so hold on. Gotta wait till it's actually falling.
Right. And it's actually sticking too, because otherwise it doesn't count.
It's true, because technically it snowed yesterday then. See?
It did. Well, it stuck, so.
Much to the delight of Susan. She was very enthusiastic.
She did not stop grinning the entire time.
She also didn't want to come inside. I was like, we have to go in. It's cold. She's like, no, it's so pretty. Like, hold on. I'm actually freezing now. All right. My ears are falling off.
The snow is blowing so hard right now. It's not okay. Oh, yeah. So we survived that. And, off to new things, but yeah, we went on another. I think I told you we went on another train ride. I showed you those pictures and stuff. So it's firmly getting better at train life. So it's very important now. I think it's becoming our second trip. It's very integral to us and how we operate as a family. I see bright futures for us.
The trip to Kansas City by train. Ooh, integral part of a functioning society, apparently. Who knew?
Never seen anyone so excited since the 1980s when trains were first invented.
We're
going to take on the railroad. Kids, come on now.
It's definitely not part of my personality to do one thing one time and be like, this defines me and everything about me forever.
Multiple times.
No. Yeah, this is how I am now, forever and always.
Known as a train guy. So
Exactly. It's kind of a thing. I don't know if you know.
what's those pictures when you see of like kids will look at a list of these things and define the rest of their life? One's like a medieval knight, one's like a dinosaur, one's like a train.
Yeah.
That's Collin right now.
Right now.
This week.
It was dinosaur last week.
Trains this week.
Wait till he finds out about dinosaur train. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on.
Wait a minute. Oh,
have you got to the point where you can identify trains?
No, I'm not.
One of those.
What are
you
those
a
called?
train spotter?
No, I'm not a train spotter at all. So
He's out there with his camera, right? Spotting them.
I feel like isn't that more of a European thing, more of a British thing, or is it?
It's very European.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some people on social media that all their pages that they post are all trains. Like, this train's coming in. It's this model, and I love it. And like shows like they're recording action of them seeing it for the first time. And there's some moderate ones like, oh hey, there's this train, but then there's like the train spotters. It's like, oh, I can't believe that this train's coming in, and then it drives by like that was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
There's a guy on YouTube I know that is the British guy that's just like, oh, and here's the train coming. Have you seen this?
That's a very British thing to do. No,
it's just
so all of my exposure with YouTube train spotters, some of them cross over nicely to train hopping videos.
Oh, right.
Which I've talked about before.
Indeed.
So a couple of them are like, they're like into trains. They're like, oh, that's really cool. It's this kind of look or whatever. And then they like sneak a ride on a freight train and are like going across Germany illegally on a freight train. So like, there's that. That's the crossover that I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to do a quick YouTube search. His name is Francis Borges. He's that British guy, but like the camera work that he has a GoPro like attached, pointed at his face, and it catches like his reaction when he does it.
Yeah. So
yes.
So you don't really sometimes some of his earlier ones you don't see the train coming in. You just see his like really excited face.
Yeah.
And him describing the train, and then later he'll edit the train coming in.
Oh yeah. I feel like it's better if there's an actual train in the picture, like so other train enthusiasts can see it too, right? Don't hog the train to yourself, guy. Come on.
So. No, we did the train, and that was our highlight for this week. I think really, really it was. They had it was really full on the train. The guy said they had almost 200 people riding it, so they're almost at capacity. So it was kind of interesting to see. But it was the weekend it was the weekend before New Year's, so there were a bunch of people moving hither to the Réunion, apparently by train. So
all our European friends are also laughing at you. They're like, 200 people on a train?
Yeah,
amateur, get out.
I know.
have you looked up the Polar Express?
The kids did that this year.
Not the amazing documentary, the movie.
Oh, right.
I'm talking about like the actual like
narrated by Tom Hanks.
Narrated by Tom Hanks.
Acted by Tom Hanks. CGI'd by Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Storyboarded by Tom Hanks.
Santa also played by Tom Hanks. But there was
spoilers for Polar Express.
Wow. But there was the whole. I have a few people on Facebook that was like the highlight of Christmas. But apparently, like tickets are super expensive. It's very like it's like hard to get like you're on like a wait list.
Well, they do one. I don't know if it's the Polar Express, but the Amtrak by our house does one, but just between two towns.
Yeah,
that's kind of a thing where Santa comes on and you go ride. But yeah, it was
like a short version.
Short version. Yeah. We don't go all the way to the North Pole with this one. It's just that.
Or do they?
Gosh, that movie is so. I use this a lot more frequently than I probably should because it kind of cheapens the meaning of it. But like, what a fever dream that movie was! I mean, especially when they're drifting the train on ice and sliding around. Again, spoilers for a movie review.
I just want to talk about for a second here, Collin. Do you like the movie Polar Express?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so here's Collin's inconsistency, right? Collin complains and moans and cries that The Hobbit is split into 3 movies, I'm going to complain and moan and cry that The Polar Express is an hour and a half long. That book is 12 pages long, Collin, right? And it's mostly pictures. And then we have an hour and a half movie of weird CGI Tom Hanks playing every character like some sort of like Eddie Murphy.
Oh gosh.
Norbit.
Yeah, Norbit.
Or yeah, whatever that.
Barry playing everybody.
Oh.
Yeah, Tom Hanks getting on the action. I'm going to play every character.
Fair point. Fair point. Well, look, but also, yeah, okay. Well, I'll just go sit over here then. We have been having discussions with the kids as far as like, because we've read through The Hobbit, right? We're starting to read the Fellowship right now, right? And at some point, I want to go, once we get far enough into the book, I want to be able to sit and kind of watch that part of the movie to like, I really want to wait till we're done with the book to then go back and watch that. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to have that discussion of how there are not 3 books or three movies for The Hobbit and that we don't watch those. They're not real.
That is going to be kind of rude. Because if they ever come to my house, I'm going to be like, yeah, I got them right here. So let's just watch them right now. Like,
no, our dad said they just don't exist. They're not real.
No similarity. No pre-Hobbit.
No, we're not getting through there just yet.
Well, you haven't read the graphic novels version, because that's when I broke into The Hobbit. What we did, many moons ago. It's like the only thing that I knew that existed of the actual books was like the graphic novel of The Hobbit, and I was like, all right, this is the only thing that there is. So when people actually started handing me the book, I was like, there's more to this? Why is there more of this? Oh, why are there no pictures? How am I supposed to know what's happening?
Yeah, it was they really enjoyed the book. So they're enjoying the Lord of the Rings is a lot denser, right? So I'm having to stop. Like we're just now getting through the Council of Elrond, like where we're just gotten to the chapter the ring goes south, and man, that's a slog of like. So this person's saying this, and the reason they're concerned is because there's a lot more background like exposition to get through that, because it's just a lot of like basically people sitting and talking.
Definitely not ready for the Silmarillion.
No
spoilers.
What's the Amazon TV series?
Oh, the Rings of Power or whatever.
Right,
yeah, that's about the Second Age stuff. That's like the unfinished talesy bit. There's a bit in the Silmarillion about that. Not very much, but they never got the. The thing was they couldn't get the rights to the Silmarillion because the Tolkien estate's like no one is touching this ever.
No, yeah,
I gotcha.
And I still haven't watched that yet. I keep meaning to, and then. I want to, but I have to. I would. So as far as my Amazon watch list currently these days goes, I just found out yesterday that James May's new travel show is on. So
yeah, and it's
got to watch that. It's
Man
India,
Man in India. Yeah.
So upcoming on that one, listeners, there you go. And then I watched season 2 of Reacher came out recently, and I've watched the first couple episodes of that because I really like that show. That's about it for my Amazon watching. I haven't decided if I haven't gotten the mood to watch Rings of Power, and I also don't know if I want to continue hate watching Wheel of Time, right? Because like the first season was so annoying to me, but like still they did just enough to where I was like, well, I kind of want to know what happens, right? Like what's going on with this weird guy? Like what's happening? Like I need some closure on some of these characters, kind of. So I kind of want to watch it, but also I don't, because watching it the first time was such a horrible slog that I was barely making it through to the end. Right? I'm sorry, Rosamund Pike. I know that you put a lot of work into this, but I just don't know. I don't. And this is somebody I'm not a pre-existing fan of the Wheel of Time. I haven't read it. I don't really want to read it because I read somewhere that someone's like, yeah, in book 7, it gets really good. I was like, excuse
book 7.
Excuse me? That's not something I want to deal with. So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched Rings of Power. Have you watched it? Did you watch it?
Yeah. As a Lord of the Ring person, I felt it was my duty and my obligation to watch Rings of Power. If you're a fan of the Lord of the Rings, watch it just so you can say you watched it. It has Lord of the Rings in the title. Mixed bag for me. Like, I thought some parts were interesting, but I wasn't like grasped the whole time, like watching like any of the other Lord of the Rings movie. I don't know if it was like kind of a cash grab or if they just wanted to fill the void of action fantasy, but watch it through once, you'll be good to go. Like, it's got some interesting, like, oh hey, like that makes sense to hear, and then it like completely forgets about it. But if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, watch it, get it out of the way, say you did, move on.
I feel, does it have? So my biggest problem with like Wheel of Time and some other shows that have been on Amazon, like the ones that Amazon produces, is the pacing problem, right? Like, it feels like some episodes take years, and then other ones like are over in like 5 seconds, but they're both like the same amount of time. So like, I feel like sometimes like shows produced specifically for internet don't flow correctly, and I don't know why that is. Right? I don't know if that's just a me problem. I don't know if I'm maybe I'm just too old and I have like a television mentality of where I'm thinking about how shows and things like, or even miniseries, like every episode needs to fit into a block to progress through a season. Right? So does it have that, or is it just like badly written?
So besides the writing and some of the acting, there's a channel on YouTube that I watched that kind of summarized up. Like, if you like politics and talking, Rings of Power is perfect for you. Now, there are some action pieces, but it's not anything like mind blowing. Some of the characters, I cannot tell you what their names are, because there's like, oh, there's this person, and then like background exposition, and then it's like, all right, enjoy it. And it's like, what? Who's this guy? What is he supposed to be doing? And some of like the minor characters, or the characters that you're like supposed to root for, like, can you just like, something happen to you so we can move on? You're kind of taking up the screen, and so your scowling face isn't really like doing it for me, because there's characters that are supposed to be, they have the elves, they have they're not hobbits, they're like subspecies of hobbits, and then like they introduce some like the other characters, and they talk about, and you visit some of the kingdoms that no longer exist, like, which is kind of cool. But even then, it's like, this is an old and ancient powerful city, and like what like can you give more? Like, would
that be Numenor? Is that what you're talking about?
So there's Numenor, and it's like, look how grand this city. It's like a kid like who's doing a group project, and it's like, oh man, like, oh, I want more information. No, you're not going to get. Okay, well, next slide. And so there's a lot of that. There's the plot is, they're trying to search out the evil that was once there, and there's kind of like a revenge quest that's kind of like supposed to be like pushing the whole plot, and you kind of forget after like the second episode that that's like what the point of the story is, and kind of having it's supposed to like piece all these, or have all these things pieced together, and at the tail end it's supposed to be like, boom, mic drop. But you're like, I saw that coming like halfway through episode 1. Like, I'm not super surprised. So it's, watch it just because if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, but that's about as much. Don't get too hyped for it, because I think when they're like, oh, season 2 is coming along, and everyone's like, nah, season 2's not happening. It's like, aw.
That's what I heard too, and I feel like that is just sort of a problem indicative with like trying to adapt anything Tolkien anyway, because in a lot of fantasy, this might be the Wheel of Time problem also, right? As a person who's never read the book, I don't know, but like, that is a fiction, and like Tolkien's fiction, it's so dense, and like when Tolkien writes, it is expository, and especially this is a person who's read the Silmarillion multiple times, so like I feel like I have a leg to stand here on this. It's very like, and then, but that's like a history book. So they're trying to, and all the material that comes that they're allowed to use for the Rings of Power is like pieces that are a history book and some random notes. So like, they don't really have a lot of like action material anyway, because it's like, oh, here's this person standing and talking. And he was before the council again. Like, oh wow, cool.
kind of going along with that, if the TV series House of the Dragon is a great HBO miniseries based off of Game of Thrones, but if you read Fire and Blood, it is literally written like a maester wrote it as a history book, and that's not an exaggeration. It's like because it goes into chapters where it's like, we don't really know much what happened during this time, but we could only assume that blah 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 blah. And then it's like in 566, and because I have it and I'm reading through it, but like problem with it, especially with Game of Thrones, that like especially with Targaryens, everyone's named Aegon, everyone's named Viserys, and so it gets to a point where like, who am I talking about here? And so like it's kind of cool being a history person, like reading that aspect as it's a history book. But like when you watch the show, because I got to the point where it mentions it, the series in the book, but it's like maybe a few pages. It's like, and then like you go to the TV series and it's just like, all right, we have to hit this talking point, this talking point, this talking point, make up everything else. And the way that the Game of Thrones people did it, there's a lot more like intrigue. There's a lot of more things that grab your attention. With the Rings of Power, it's like, yeah, there's talking points that they have to hit, but it's like, let's show more images of them walking. They like that in Lord of the Rings. Oh, let's have an image of, or, a 30-minute scene where elves are discussing politics and trade rights. They like that before. And so there's a lot of things like that just like, can you speed this up? I don't know who's talking. I don't care. There are some parts where the dwarves are actually playing more of like a part in it. And so actually saying like dwarven society actually into it instead of like with the original, like, The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, like there's dwarves somewhere, but it actually like shows you like in the in-depth parts of like dwarf hold. So that's kind of cool. But again, it's like, I don't know who any of these people are. They're not much intrigue for me to try to like care for them that much. It's like, insert name, and then they never say their name again. So you have to like take notes when you watch it. But it's if you like Lord of the Rings, watch it. But just go to House of Dragon instead. It's fine.
So I feel like that's where television is helpful as a media, because then you have a face to go with the name, right? Because like when you read the Silmarillion, you have the Targaryen problem, right? Especially the First Age. Everybody's like, it's like Finwë and Fingolfin and Finrod and Feo and like Feanor, and you're like, why did you do this? I don't. And so trying to remember who's who is a little bit tricky, right? So if you had a face, that would be good, right? And I do you think that it's just a product of like the time that like it appears that George's writing seems to adapt better for like television, right? Do you think it's like his like just style, like because it's much more modern, and like his just generally is a lot more like political intrigue? It's like more drama filled, whereas like Tolkien stuff is much more like it's calmer, it's more subtle, it's more like stoic in a way, right? Not worse or better, right? I'm just saying it's just a different vibe, right? And I feel like maybe that's part of the problem too, is like because when you read Tolkien's Second Age stuff, it is kind of just like, yeah, like when he's describing like the great evil, it's just like he's a bad dude. But when like George is talking about somebody, it's like very detailed and very like, well, and because he's like a more modern sensibility, like playing on like modern readers and stuff. Do you think that's part of it? Maybe
there's sometimes like when I read certain books and or just any sort of illustration, it's like, yeah, this was made for TV. That I don't know if that was like the author's like intent, because like when I read some of these people who like the way they write it out and the way they are detailed, I'm like, oh, they have a future that this is going to be on TV one day. I think with Tolkien, like that wasn't his thought, because I know that wasn't like really such a big thing back then. And so I think with him being kind of more of a writer for like again like an older audience, or someone who could like start old and kind of move from there. With it, I don't think that was his intent. That like, oh, one day this is gonna be on the big picture. With Martin, I think that was he started out kind of the same way, but I think with the popularity, he because if you read book 1 of Game of Thrones, it's different than like book 2, although there wasn't that much of a difference like time wise. But like when you read the books, especially in the earlier seasons of the TV show, it's like almost like, and I don't know if that was intentional by the directors, but it's like, oh, this was the way it's written. Like that is a like textbook scene in the TV series. And so he I don't know if he adapted his writing for like, hey, I want this to be on TV one day. Boom, here's literal the script. I just wrote it in this book. Go for it. And so I know the maturity of the audience kind of plays a part of that. And so if you're just writing to write and have fun with it, as you know, with Tolkien and creating this world and all this background stuff, I don't think he had any intention that it was going to be, you know, a TV series or a movie one day.
I think too, it might be a part that like before writing a book, George had seen a movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like he had watched television. Like those mediums existed. And so like I think they probably influenced him just because of the environment of living and being born, you know, like later. And because they overlap, I don't remember when George was born, but like, you know, Tolkien died in the 70s, so like he was alive. Like, wait, so when Tolkien was like a little kid and stuff, there is no TV, there is no movies, right? Like you get the radio, right? And so like just like being exposed, and like so Tolkien would just read books only, and so when he would write, that was his influence. And whereas like Martin, like. And like later writers, like just the fact that you have watched television influences the way that you think about storytelling, or the fact that you have seen a movie, right? You now can think about stories in a slightly different way. Like your plot diagram kind of goes a little bit differently, and you can think about things differently just because you're exposed to different media, right? And so I think that might be part of it too. Like just they come from a different time, even though they're both like medieval high fantasy-ish thing, right? Like when you're writing during, you know, the World War One, and you're just talking about like overcoming obstacles, right? Or if you're writing through like the you start right. I mean, the first Martin book, the Game of Thrones book came out in 96, so he could have started writing that in 1847 for all I know, but he like that's a very different, like the 90s and like the late 80s, early 90s, like all the crazy like global political insanity, right? Like that's just a very different environment to be in. And so some of that just like automatically transfers into your writing because like you're exposed to it. People are familiar with like more like high drama, stuff like that. So that's I never thought about that before. That's a very interesting thought plan.
Well, yeah, especially if you think like Tolkien's, you know, he's reading Beowulf and transcribing that from its original language and making that a thing. And that, yeah, as you become exposed to different new media types, it changes how you can process a story, how you can show a story, how you can put pieces of the puzzle together. And I think that's really true, especially with Martin they're kind of in the same genre, but he's pulling from a lot more modern sensibilities and the way stories are told. But we tend to think, oh, he's writing a book, so he's writing a book. But it's like, yeah, but he's writing a book influenced by a lot of other media going on at that time, even though he's notorious for being, you know, cut off from the world and that kind of stuff, and, you know, and how he writes and things. But I think you can't but help it.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like if you have seen Twitter, your writing's gonna be different, right? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that's a very good point. Like, maybe that's why he hasn't finished the book. He's got too much media influence.
Oh, no.
He's afraid to end the story.
Well, plus he's got a... I don't know. Have they fully resolved like what canon is going to exist because of the HBO version of the ending versus his own ending, and like what the overlap is or isn't going to be?
Well, if he never finishes the book, there is the only canon ending is the HBO.
Well, because I know like whenever they're writing it, it's like, I want it to end this way. But the lead up of how the end, he was kind of vague about. But there was that thing when the last season occurred. It's like, oh, George, did an interview, and it's like, I told him like, this is what I want, and like that was it. No other like lead up details. Like, it has to end this way. And so there's, from the start of the last season to the end of last season, there's a huge chunk of, don't know what happens, go for it. But we just try to kind of come up with an ad lib. You have the answer, but none of the questions to anything.
So who knows? Don't know.
Nobody.
I'm never gonna get to read Winds of Winter. So at this point, too, I feel like I haven't read the books since the last one came out. So like 2015? When did that come out? Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the last time I read them. So they'll be like, if I do read that book, it'll be like, oh, so and so. I'll be like, what? Who? Hold on.
I gotta go back and reread all the other ones.
Some big books to go back and reread.
No, it's fine.
I don't know.
Needing something to do with your time. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it until like I actually have a published date. Like I'm not going to
start.
Not going to even.
Because who knows? It may be another 10 years.
Yeah. I'll have to reread them twice. Dang it. So, segueing into a brief aside here of a television show that is slightly better than it has any right to be. Right.
Oh.
Susan and I over break have been binge watching SWAT. Right. So it's like a modern. It's like based on the 1970s TV show or movie, and it's like I don't know. It's about like Los Angeles SWAT team or whatever. And this show just sounds like a normal cop show, but it's actually not too bad. It's pretty good. Okay. But the most important part about this show, right? Are the characters pretty good? Yeah. Are they a little too overdramatic sometimes? Yes. But like they're at least attempting to tackle in their own way some of the modern problems that are faced with like police and stuff like that, right? So they like address these things, which is nice, where other cop shows are just like, anyway, here's the back. Right. So like they mentioned that it's like you get kind of like they talk through this thing. It's very interesting. But the best part about this show is I don't know who the cinematographers are, but they just go ham. Like I don't they've just been told like, yeah, just go for it. And some of the shots in this show are insane.
Oh. For like car chases or
like
what?
Literally anything.
Oh.
Like that one the other day, they were going into this like warehouse thing with like night vision, and one of the dudes got punched and his night vision goggles fell off and they're on the floor, right? Cut to wide shot where you can just see these shadows moving and the green glow. The camera then zooms into the night vision goggles, so then you're looking through the lens
that are sitting on the floor,
and then from the floor angle you see the action happening from the floor angle shot.
Wild. Oh wow.
It's insane. Like these people, I don't know who they are, and I don't know what they're whoever's just letting them go ham. Right, good job, because they do love the modern. I've noticed it a lot. Actually, I first started noticing this in Shark Week, believe it or not. But the modern, like, because drones are so popular, right? And you can get like crazy shots with drones. They'll do like drone like chase things and like crazy stuff. But like the 100% overhead straight down shot with is like the most overused camera angle.
Oh, I know.
Since drones became a thing, like they do it in Shark Week all the time, and this show has it just everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I was just looking at something came across my social medias where the guy was camped out in like a most crocodile infested part of the world, wherever, and he shot it all via drone. And it is all of these overhead shots. And at first you're like, oh wow, this is really cool. But then like you lose sense of scale of. It's so disorienting to see it from that position of like, oh, that actually needs to be used really sparingly for this to actually make sense.
They use it sometimes where it's like, they did one the other day. They were like going through the alleyway and they did and then the drone was like following.
Oh, okay.
So it looked like a top down, like scrolling dungeon crawler thing. But like, but I was like, the camera people on the show just need to be acknowledged. Like the acting is pretty good. Storytelling is good for the most part. A little too much like, machismo sometimes. It's a little heavy-handed. Okay, calm down a little bit. But the camera work is the star here. Like, it's really good.
Okay.
So my segue from that,
okay,
right, that I was thinking about, right, so my train of thought here is SWAT. So now, if you remember, during the early 2000s, you might be going, wasn't there a SWAT movie with Samuel L. Jackson? Well, yes, Aaron, there was. You're correct.
Good memory.
And so again, it gets based on like a 70s show or something. So like the character names are like all the same, but the characters are very, very different, right? The 2000s one is like, it's like Michelle Rodriguez. She was big in 2000, right? Colin Farrell and, of course, LL Cool J, because the ladies love Cool James. And I want you to know your thoughts, Aaron and Colin, on during the 2000s. I just remember that Hollywood seemed to be trying to make Colin Farrell just a big thing. He was in literally every movie ever. And so, how do you feel about Colin Farrell? What are your thoughts on this?
I know he's a good actor, but every time I watch like Alexander the Great, I had to turn it off because I'm like, does Alexander the Great have do they have to have like an Irish like accent in it or whatever? Like, no. And it's like the acting even in that movie is top, and that comes from 90% Colin Farrell. And then like a slight, sliver from Angelina Jolie and who's the other? Anthony Hopkins is in that movie too.
He is.
And so like, trying to, Colin Farrell's trying to like carry that movie, and like the action pieces, yes. The time period, the authenticity of like the armor, and like yes, but then it's just like Colin Farrell shouting through, a good chunk of that movie. And then when I watch things like SWAT, going from Alexander the Great to that, it's like, man, I can't. Like, he's gonna do something wild and crazy and sporadic, and like that's his character. Just like, he's a wild card. You don't know what he's gonna do next. And I think every movie during that time period, like that was kind of like his character shtick. He's like, oh man, he's a wild card. He's gonna fly off the handles and act crazy. And so that kind of rinse wash repeat character, and now I got to see what movies he was in.
Well, so I pulled up a IMDb here, right? And
Brandon's got you.
Yeah. So like starting in 2000, too low. It's like Tigerland, American Outlaws, Hearts War, Minority Report, Phone Booth, the big breakout.
Yeah.
Phone Booth, right? Daredevil.
Oh my gosh.
The SWAT movie. There's just like 20 billion, like it's just Colin Farrell everywhere. And I agree, Aaron, that I don't really think Colin Farrell is the guy to carry your movie, right? I just feel like I've seen a lot of these movies and they're like not. They're just not, right? I feel like they were trying to make the 2010s or the early 2000s the decade of Colin Farrell, and it's just like too. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, he's a bad guy. Weirdly, just put him there.
He was in Minority Report.
Yeah, New World. Does Miami Vice. Every single like character that he played was some sort of like, you don't know what he's gonna do next. He's acting wild. Oh, thank you. We have a slight break in the action here, but
Hi.
What did you just deliver?
Coins and coal.
Thank you very much.
do we need to ask her about her opinion about Colin Farrell here?
Do you have opinions?
No.
Not a girl.
You're fine. Thank you very much.
Really? Oh, it's 2020. But I mean, like even like some of these, like the early 2000 action, which I can pretty much summarize an action scene. There's a character shooting. There's about 12 camera breaks in the span of like 5 seconds, and then it's shown an image of ammo on the ground because that sudden like it's
probably smoking too.
Smoking.
I really like the long take It's something not like 1914 World War I movie. That was like all one continuous shot.
That was cool.
But like in a lot of these early action films, like the go-to thing,
it's a giant spider running across the floor right now. Hold on, keep talking.
Timesies.
It's coming back.
Was that camera, and I think like a whole lot of that really kind of like when you're a young kid and you like action. Oh, this is like the best movie ever. But like watching it now, it's like I don't know what's happening. It's exhausting. Keep the camera on one person for more than like 5 seconds, please.
This is the Bourne Identity's fault.
Yeah.
Right? This movie made it cool because like when that movie did it, it was like new and interesting and exciting. And then like other people were like, oh, everyone really liked that. We should do that too. But then they did it like worse. And so it was just...
Yeah, it's just constant. What is that called in cinematography? When it's just like the cutaways.
Yeah.
Cut. Like I don't know what's happening. And a lot of those movies that he is in during that span of popularity were like that. Even like in some of the scenes in Alexander, like if they could just stay the camera on like this certain scene for 10 seconds, like the battle with
Darius,
like that the Gargamella.
Oh
yeah, the battle of Gargamella. Like that scene's like if you just straight on phalanx for like 10 seconds, this would be actually a pretty like watchable movie. But it's not. It's like marching forward. They got to stab. The horses are charging. Like one guy's impaled, and then it's like cutaway. Stop it. So
they have too many cutaways in the movie Phone Booth. A movie about a man trapped in a phone booth. Like he can't even go anywhere. Like he's just standing there, not doing anything.
But even with a movie like that, like his character, where it's like calm for 5 seconds, and it's like, hey, very calm. Like that's like the sudden outburst. Like in SWAT, that was his character. He was a pistol. He was a rogue. Like I don't know if I want this guy on my team. He can't be trusted. And then something happened. Like, see, I'm proven right. And then something else happened. Like, I guess I was wrong about you. Like almost every character that he faces, and even in Alexander, keep going back to it. Like I'm the leader of I'm the king. Just like I'm the son of Zeus. Like stop shouting. Like just chill out. So I think that character is no matter what he's playing during that time period are the exact same.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I should point out in the new show, the modern show SWAT, right? Because in the movie he's playing the character Jim Street, right? Which is the name of the guy in all the. That's the name, right? They all have the same name, right? But the guy in this show, like he's in the first couple seasons, he's like that too. But it's like much more subtle, right? It's played much better on television, right? It's far superior to like he does like roguey things, but he does them like quieter, and like you have like the motivation for why he's doing it, and so you like have sympathy for him and you understand where he's coming from. You do still go like, if you would just talk to somebody, this problem would go away. But it's fine.
Oh,
it's
yes.
fine. There's a lot of that, like, I'm going to handle it my own way. Like, calm down. Stop it.
Contrived fun. Yeah. Colin Farrell, it's crazy. He's only 47, like, which is a bit hard to believe because, again, he's been around for, most of our lives in his acting career. But yeah, he's always played the same character, and it was just it was never different. But it's so weird because he's so acclaimed. Like people love him as an actor because he's been in so many different films, right? They're like, oh, that means he has breadth in what he's able to do. But I don't know if he does all those
I don't know if you want to be like, yo, I'm a great actor. Did you see me in Miami Vice?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Answer's probably, yeah.
Next. I can't find the name of that movie. He is in some like movie that I watched not too long ago. One of my friends made me watch it, like a movie about gangsters or something.
Oh,
like a English gangster movie.
He played the Penguin in the new Batman movie.
Did he?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. With Pattinson, when Pattinson played Batman.
yeah.
He was the Penguin. So there's that.
He's in The Gentleman. That's the movie that I saw.
What was that about?
American expatriate became rich by building a higher profitable drug ring in London. When word gets out he's looking to cash out his business, it soon triggers an array of plots and schemes, including bribery and blackmail from shady characters who want to steal his domain. It's a Guy Ritchie movie, right? It's a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
It's not named. It's a Guy Ritchie movie that isn't like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. So like, it's not. It's like not quite as good as that or Snatch. It's trying to be those movies, but it's not quite as good as those movies are, which is unfortunate. There was like something there. There was like something there, but it just wasn't. I felt bored during that movie.
I will say I did like the Batman.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I did like that.
Hey, I knew there was lots of worry and concern about how it's Pattinson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would do.
I watched this one thing that talked about like the evolution of live action Batmans, and the last few Batmans like all encompassed like different parts of Batman. Ben Affleck was like character like encompasses like the gritness of like Batman after doing it for so many years, and how he's kind of like morphed from when he started to what he is now. Christian Bale version was like this is what Bruce Wayne is. Like he is a philanthropist, playboy, loves spending his money. And in the Robert Pattinson's character, like he's like it takes place like when he's first starting out as Batman, and how like his only reason for doing Batman is vengeance. And then like that arc that like, oh hey, this is actually not what Batman is like of justice. Like this is the reason of why he's doing it. So all three of those Batmans like take like a certain part of what Batman is. And I liked watching that, learning it now. It's like, oh hey, like watching the Batman, it's like, oh, this is, you know, Bruce Wayne, like when he's first starting out, like he's still trying to figure out what he's supposed to do, like how he's supposed to do it. You know, yes, running into beating thugs is like obviously what you do as a Batman, but the reason of why he does it becomes different, and all three of them play a huge part. But I really, really liked this version, although you have to watch it at night. Full volume.
Okay.
Because I think I watched, like, I think Shelby was at work or something. She's like, I'm going to watch the Batman. And like I turned it on. It was like 1:00 in the afternoon. And I just shut like all the blinds and shutters in the house. And I put blankets over the windows just like watch it. Because it's like dark.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's shot so dark as a movie. Like you can't barely see. It's like, no, we don't actually want any lights on in the studio. Everyone turn them off and we'll film it. There we go.
Not like moody dark, like dark.
Yeah, visually dark.
see people that are always like, they watch a movie and they're like, well, that's not what it actually look like at nighttime. It'd be way darker. Like, yeah, but the point of the movie is to see the thing.
Right.
Okay. So maybe don't shoot a movie at night for real with no lights. Like, okay, it's like not.
That's very unhelpful.
Yeah, like I understand that's not real, but it's also a movie, bro. Right? Like,
yeah.
Also, I want to know, Aaron, on this spectrum of Batmans, where does Val Kilmer Batman reign? What is his deal? What is that?
So with Val Kilmer and even with George Clooney's, they kind of, you know, the fantasy aspect of Batman, because like even with DC, there's always it's supposed to take place like in the realm of realism, but then there's always like the one character that's like, this guy's like out of left field. And so with George Clooney and Val Kilmer's Batman, it's supposed to be like what the symbol of Batman is supposed to be, even in the realm of realism and in fantasy. Like this is what Batman is, like the figure of it and what he's supposed to do. Now when you get to the part of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Uma Thurman, you know, hard left turn. But even with dadgummit,
get Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. Who was the 80s Batman? Dammit.
Michael
Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Even with him, like the what was it? Like the realism of how the world is, like how the world treats the unknown or the downtrodden. Because the Penguin's character, like, started out with relatively good intentions, and then like society made him that way. Same thing like with the Joker. And so it's Michael Keaton's version. Again, dark movie, and it was also directed by Tim Burton. So it takes a huge, just a darker twist in general.
Jeez.
So with that character, it's like look at not just the hero, but there's a lot of scenes with the Penguin, and how society has treated and not helped out these individuals, and like look what they become. And in the 2020, the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, same kind of thing. And so Batman is Batman, but he's Batman like with the villains, because most of these characters, like something or with the villains, most of these characters have some sort of backstory that made him that way. With the Joker, he started as a comedian, and like his wife got sick, and so he needed like money, and so he turned to life of crime, and then he severely injured, and that's what he he became this way. And Batman's characters throughout, and especially with the newer ones, with the Batman, not to be confused with Batman, but the Batman, this is what society has neglected. Spoiler: the Riddler's character was neglected by all forms of public services, and so that's why he became the way he did. And that's why Batman kind of changes. Like, oh, hey, I'm not doing this for vengeance. I'm doing this for justice and to actually do some good, not just beat up people. Because
So I guess this comes down to favorite Batman. Yeah. Okay.
Well, the actual right answer is Kevin Conroy. Because when Aaron said that, I thought was, I am vengeance. I am the night. But I feel like the reason that I like Batman the very best is that kind of what Aaron was talking about is the villains make Batman interesting.
Yeah.
Because kind of like the psychology of almost every Batman villain is that like the villain's motivation and Batman's motivation are like oftentimes very similar. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like how they go about getting to the problem, right? Finding the solution is the different path they take, right? Like a lot of Batman villains, like Batman could have become a lot of the villains if he would have made different decisions, right? Like that to me is where it gets really interesting, especially ones like Hush, right? Some of the cool ones like that, or like even Victor Freeze, right? Maybe not the Arnold version, but like
no, definitely the Arnold version.
His motivation is he just wants to save his wife, right? He's trying to save Nora. That's it. Like that's all he wants to do, and like he does all kinds of criminal behavior, but his motivation is to save Nora, right? Like, and that's what makes it really interesting to me. Is like Batman is not only usually fighting like this like bad guy, he's also kind of like fighting himself a little bit, because like he oftentimes can see why they're doing it, right? And I feel like that's a really interesting thing that that psychological aspect of that, of like why the bad guys are doing things, right? What's their motivation? I feel like almost every Batman villain has some kind of motivation, right? I don't know about like the Mad Hatter or Killer Croc, but like they have some kind of motivation for what they're doing, and it's like clearly defined, right? Like Pamela Isley just wants to save trees, but also kill all the people in Gotham so that more trees can live. Okay, we started out strong and then we took a bad turn there. That's what happened.
Had us in the first half, not gonna lie. It's the second part. It was step 2.
Step 2 was the problem.
It's the implementation.
Oh, no.
But yeah, and you see that, I think, a lot of where you see it particularly with just, I mean, honestly, like the Joker, like in most movies and even in the animated TV show of like the Joker will outright say like, you need me, Batman, like you need me. And at the time it was like, oh, that's right, because Batman needs somebody to fight. But like, really, it's like, no, Batman needs reminded of where Batman will go if he's not on the right path here. So he needs to see the end result of the Joker to keep him from going there.
Yeah, to keep him doing. And I feel like that's something that I don't know, you probably didn't, but did you ever play the Arkham games, Aaron? Oh man, the game does such a great job of doing that, especially the second one. Well, the first one too, because the Joker is still, it's Mark Hamill still.
Yeah.
In the beginning. Oh my God. That's actually Mark Hamill's best contribution to cinema history is just being the Joker.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible, but like those games do a really good job of doing that too. They like really pull in. It's like a really good mesh of like the animated series and like some of the movie stuff like pulled all in together. Because I think Kevin Conroy did the voice of Batman in some of those games too, didn't he?
Yeah, he. I'm gonna have to look it up, but yeah, he like even from the animated series of the popular from that, like the voices, a lot of those voices are in like the later movies or in like the video games.
Yeah.
So it's like pulling that universe in there, but like again, it's like really motivational thing and like the Joker's like the main bad guy in the first two, but there's like the other bad guys are there. He's like manipulating them to do his thing or whatever, but that's the motivation that comes is the Joker's basically saying like, you do need me, because I you need me to be, because you wouldn't exist without me, because I'm the reason that we need a Batman.
Yeah.
But also you're this close to being me.
Yeah.
Like, one wrong move, bats, and and this is it, right?
No, it really has a lot of depth to it, and that internal struggle is really apparent to that, really humanizing him in that aspect of that continual internal fight through what he does.
You asked about who the favorite Batman is.
Oh yeah.
And also kind of with the other stuff like you need me. I would have to say Will Arnett, Lego Batman.
Oh.
Talks a lot about like, I can do this alone. I am Batman. And it's like, well, no, you don't like guys are like have to do it alone. But even the Joker isn't like, no, like I am your arch nemesis. Like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, no, I have no arch nemesis. And like kind of like that being alone. It's like you don't like have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of that. But I remember watching that movie for the first time, and I like the Lego movie. And I was like, well, Lego Batman might not be that good. It's really funny. It's definitely like a different take on Batman, but I just like the humor that goes into it and the visualization, because think of Legos, you always think of Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Harry Potter. It's like, oh, this is good. Like, what how's it going to do in like movie form? And the Lego Movie 2, and Lego Batman knocked out.
The Lego humor is vastly underrated, right?
Yeah.
As a person who's played many Lego games, I definitely have played Lego Indiana Jones, an underrated gem of a video game, right? The backstory here is that Aaron got that for like when he first got an Xbox, I think. Okay, and I was like, oh, Lego. I was older, right? I'm older than Aaron, so I was like, Lego, that's dumb. And I started playing it, and I was like, nope, this is sick. this is the sickest thing ever. So I've definitely played Lego Indiana Jones. I played Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, the Lego Batman video game, the Harry Potter one. The Harry Potter ones are sick too. I didn't play. I played one of the Star Wars ones, and the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings one. And last summer, I definitely played like Lego City or whatever. You're like a police Lego guy. It's hilarious. It's like open world Lego. Yeah, let's go. But the Lego humor in general is so funny. I don't know why. It's like the visual. It's all just like weird visual gags. It's hilarious.
In the earlier games, they didn't use like any voiceovers. They only used like sounds from the movie.
Oh.
And so, but like the visual humor or with the the visual comedy of it like plays such a epic role into it, and just like the exploration and the creativity. That's like Legos, like yeah, whatever. Like when you actually play it, like this isn't actually like a game. Like you have to like solve puzzles, build things, and follow the story. Which I imagine like a 7-year-old kid trying to recreate Indiana Jones via Legos, like perfect. Those games are fun. I on my Steam wish list, I do have the Harry Potter franchise that I have not bought yet, but I should get the winter sale on it.
I have that. That's one of the games that my goal at some point is to make Susan 2-player co-op like Harry Potter with me. And she can be the other person, right? I want this to happen like so bad.
Maybe we should do that podcast of us playing it.
You guys have to screen record though.
I don't know.
I need you to grab.
I don't know if my computer can handle that. We'll try it out. I also want her to play, because she doesn't like video games at all. My other goal is I want her to play LA Noire with me and just make her answer all the questions.
Oh,
like
you play the action part.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the controller. She's just gonna tell me what to do, because that's a game where you play like a detective in the 1940s.
Uh-huh.
It's all about like trying to solve a crime, and you ask people these questions. You have to like respond to them and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like I want her to be
to
like,
do that.
Tell me what button to put.
Yeah.
Solve the crime. I'll control the character.
Okay.
But
that'd be fun.
I want her to be like telling me the buttons push. I'll drive the car. I'll do all that stuff. I don't care. I'll drive Cole around and his idiot self doing dumb. Spoilers for LA Noire.
Wow.
Cole Phelps is a moron.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Redemption arc at the end. Don't worry. It's fine. But I think she would like the visuals of 1940s Los Angeles, and she loves like detective things and like mystery solving. So I just want her to do that. But I want that to happen. That would be so funny, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have that'd be yeah. We'll see what we can. I don't know what kind of external forces we can do to make that happen, but
Well, yeah, we'll let you know how that goes. But
yeah, well, real quick, as we wind down here, I think I was supposed to write.
It's your turn.
It's my turn. So this is I have a haiku that I wrote.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, I need to find.
I don't exactly know how this got started, Aaron, but we have been ending every show with
haikus. Now, this one. Okay, there it is. Okay, so this one.
I'm a little worried.
You should be. Not gonna lie, I did not have one until this morning.
Hey, when inspiration strikes, you just gotta take advantage of it.
This is greatly influenced by last night.
So, oh no! All right, context. First off, listeners, here's how last night went. I was not sleeping yet. Everyone had gone to bed except for Collin and I, and we were downstairs just like chilling on the couch talking, and we were flipping through the television. Dad has like weird antenna television, okay, and we found the Branson Tourism Channel.
Oh,
and
it's so bad. I mean,
it's bad.
It's so bad.
We thought about just pulling out the microphones and recording ourselves watching it, just because
we react to commercials.
Yeah.
It was just all the worst that comes from Branson just distilled into these like really long commercials. They're long form. I think that's what I can't infomercials for these very specific places in Branson. And man, they just some of them were beautifully shot, but you just cringe. And
it's about a good 6 out of 10 of them contain Johnny Morris too.
Yes, it turns out he's a big proponent of paying for those things there. Oh my gosh! So, what kicked this off though? The very first commercial we saw when we turned to this channel was for
the thing
that was for this. It's called Jiggling George.
Hey, that was. And we just saw the end, and so we went, What was that?
What was that? What was that? Because let's go back to some of our early foundations. Had this been in late 90s, early 2000s, we would never have seen this commercial again, right? And it would have just been lost to time, and we would have been like trying to scramble and find what this was. But because we have the internet,
and this station was playing these commercials on a loop.
But they had like 4 different commercials.
So it's like the old those travel things that you go to a hotel with.
Yes.
Like, come see beautiful historic downtown Branson.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is the channel when you go into a hotel in Branson. When you turn the TV on, this is the channel that's on first.
It must be. It must be. So anyway, this is they say it's an exercise machine. I don't think it's an exercise machine.
Now, also, the listeners, the commercial that we saw, 5 seconds of a man in a lime green and polka dot suit with a striped vest and a weird tie and just a baseball hat. And he was saying something about Jiggling George. And Colin and I looked at each other and went, what?
So this is a machine that later we found out, not through this commercial, because we did our research while we were watching. This is a machine that you lay in bed and you put your feet onto, and then it shakes your legs back and forth, left and right, left and right, left and right. And that's all this machine does.
Jiggling George's new life bed exerciser is the world's only bed exerciser of its kind.
Yes.
Totally bed friendly to most beds, or can be used on the floor.
Yes.
For $449.
Yes. It's $500, and you lay down.
It just shakes your ankles.
Yes, you hook your ankles into this little thing, and then it just shakes you back and forth. There's a video in there.
Some say it jiggles you.
Some say there's a video in there where they pan across people testing this, and it's just 6 people in a row.
Look at that suit, Aaron. Look at it. Look at it.
I feel like I've seen this guy before.
With their legs going crazy. It looks so uncomfortable. And it's supposed to be like, it helps joint pain because it increases blood flow through nitrous oxide and blah, blah, blah. Basically, what we've derived is that this guy, the guy who invented this, see, look at that. Isn't it horrifying?
His little feet go back
Yeah,
and forth.
this would make it. That's a cutscene from the latest Saw movie.
So funny, little feet just
back and forth. It's so ridiculous. We are 100%. I am 100% convinced that this guy looked at what the gyms of the 40s and 50s were, and went, you know what we need? We need more jiggling in the gym. Because that's what we need. We need the little vibrator thing to come back and shake your hips back and forth to make it.
Most of these people have like headphones on, their eyes covered. They're just laying there.
It's a scene. It's 2 movies. If the Matrix and the Saw had crossover, this would be where they're plugged in, they're cut off from reality, and they're being tortured. Like that's what this is.
The shtick here, Aaron, is that if you go there, you can do 15 minutes free on one of those machines. Try it out for yourself.
And it'll change your life.
Yeah. Allegedly, according to the testimonials, your life will never be the same again.
Yes.
Is this a clinic, or are you just like...
It's a shoe store.
Aaron, it's a shoe store. It's a shoe store.
Not afraid of business. Again, improving your health. It's 1969.
Yeah.
We're in an online shop.
Yep.
Fascinating. All right. Carry on.
All right. So with that knowledge, I wrote this haiku. Okay.
There's too many Branson themed haikus.
Too many. We're
I read one about Dino.
It's getting bad here. Yeah. So this one, right? Okay. Legs shake. Bed's a stage. Jiggling George's dance routine. Fitness with a twist.
Oh my God.
And there you go. So, it's good. Look, I am just being used as a muse for the content. It's fine. It's being funneled through me. This happens. So none of this was an endorsement or sponsored by anybody.
Yeah,
Please
hashtag not sponsored.
And please, for the love of everything, no thank you.
Yeah.
And that's our own bite. There you go. So that's should probably stop.
I think so.
Okay. Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.